National Mental Illness Awareness Week. Well, how can we tell if our children need some help? Joining me is Dr. Katie Schmidt. She is a Meriter child and adolescent psychiatrist. Dr. Schmidt, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
How do you know when it goes beyond teenage moodiness? I mean, I'm still apologizing to my mother how I acted, when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
But how do we know the difference between, are they just being moody teens, or does this go deeper?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important now that school's in that we pay attention to how kids are functioning in school. I think that actually serves as a great warning sign.
Okay.
And a lot of times kids don't talk to their parents about how they're feeling, but the great thing about school is that teachers are there are counselors, and often then you have something like school performance or school attendance as another clue.
You know what, that's a great idea too, just being able to lean on that. Ask your teachers, ask that school how my child is doing, because it's just never cool when you're in high school to, share with your parents, obviously not. What else should they be looking for?
I think a lot of times kids will become socially isolated, so they might not be as engaged with their normal peer group. They might not even want to go to school because they're just so worried or so nervous. You can also see a decline in school performance, whether that's in sports or with grades. So I think those are some really important things. Also with teenagers, you might see a little bit more defiance, which a lot of teenagers are, pushing limits and boundaries anyway, but if it goes beyond what you're used to for your child, that's another warning signs for teen.
What about a child who was, I don't know if I want to call it type A, but so anal retentive, I got to get to school, I can't be late.
Yeah.
Younger, say if they are maybe, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Would that be a sign that there is maybe
they're a little anxious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think more with the depression, you might see more of the shutting down.
I see.
With the anxiety is more kind of that revved up and maybe overachieving and putting a little bit too high of expectations on.
So that's good. So there is a difference if you're noticing that.
Yeah.
How early can these signs be tracked in children? I know every child is different.
Yeah, pretty early.
Oh,
Usually
really?
you'll see the anxiety earlier on than the depression, but it
Okay.
definitely can start at that young age of 7, 8, 9, 10, where you can see kids really struggling, both at home and at school.
So, child is struggling at home.
Yep.
Child is struggling at school. What's the parent's next step, or what's their guardian's next step?
Yeah, great question. So I think if you don't already have a mental health provider that you're tied in with, to go to your primary care provider is a great next step. Otherwise, to ask staff at school, whether it's the school counselor, the school nurse, a teacher, those are great options.
Dr. Katie Schmidt with Meriter, thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having me.
We appreciate your time, and these are very important things to talk about because they are still getting into the school season, the school year. Also wanted to remind you, if you need some extra resources as well, you can go to Newslinks, NBC15.com, click on that, and you'll find more resources there on our website. Coming up next on NBC 15 News at